Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World, and a happy Friday from everybody here at Prime Sports World. Hopefully you all had a happy and a healthy Independence Day. Hopefully you have all of your fingers still from Independence Day. But yeah, hopefully you all had a very good holiday. Of course, my name is David On Point. Helping there right here, there's my co-host, Mr. TJ Hopkins. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. On today's episode of The Prime, we're going to be breaking down the New Orleans Saints season and talking a little bit about what to expect if you are a New Orleans Saints fan. So yeah, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Happy Friday, TJ. How was your holiday? How are you, my friend?
Good holiday. Always time with the fam. Good stuff.
Man, I had to work today and yesterday, and today's day at the office felt so long. Like, it felt like the longest day at the office I've had this year, maybe. Like, it was just, it was dragging. I'm also going on vacation next week, so I think that had a lot to do with it. So, like, I'm looking forward to being off for over a week. So, yeah, it was just a real long day. But, yeah, I'm David Hupp, and there's TJ Hopkins. Let's get into the New Orleans Saints. TJ, you ready?
Let's start this. Let's go.
Let's talk about the offensive line for conversation number one. Ryan Ramczyk, not a very big-time question mark. Whether or not he's going to even be able to play this season, I will go ahead and check the update. Trevor Penning, who was their first-round pick, I believe 2 years ago, has not worked out at left tackle or right tackle. They did obviously draft Talise Fuaga, the kid out of Washington, to kind of play left tackle or right tackle. Cesar Ruiz has been moved to right guard. Let's talk about this offensive line and specifically the tackle position. Are you concerned about this going into this season for the New Orleans Saints? And what is your level of concern?
Ryan Ramczyk is 30 years old, and he's likely not going to play this season. If he does play this season, it's going to be super late in the season to the point where his comeback won't matter. Won't make a difference. And if it gets to that point, you might as well just say, you know what? Don't come back. Just keep doing what you're doing. We're going to try this again next season.
I think this is a really important season for the New Orleans Saints. I mean, they have a very expensive payroll. Yeah, I think so. I mean, they got an expensive payroll. I think this team still has quote unquote title aspirations.
No, David. No, don't.
Well, I think that they could fool themselves into thinking that they're still a team that can make the playoffs in the NFC South. And I think maybe they could. But Ryan Ramczyk, he's got I think it's like a nerve, like that nerve injury that we see happen sometimes with players when they have that knee injury. The nerve never really recovers. The offensive line is going to be a problem. They were struggling last season anyways. Trevor Penning is just really not a tackle in the NFL. He has not played up to snuff at all in the National Football League. He's probably more of a right guard or left or right guard. It's very apparent by Alvin Kamara as you look at his yards per attempt. It's abysmal. The only reason that he's a successful running back is really because he's so valuable out of the backfield. But his yards per attempt is terrible. Jamal Williams' yards per attempt is kind of terrible. This is not a good offensive line, and they have a statue of a quarterback in Derek Carr. He's not making plays out of the pocket. This is a big-time problem for the offensive line, and it's probably going to be the downfall of their entire season if there is a ceiling for real.
Yeah, Ryan Ramczyk in 101 career games has 101 career starts. You know how many times Ryan Ramczyk's been called for holding in 101 games?
Probably not that many.
12.
12? Wow.
12.
Some guys do that in a season.
Some guys do that in the season. Yes, you are absolutely right.
Yeah.
But this is, it's you said it's bad. Like, Cesar Ruiz, you brought him in to be a center, and you moved him. You moved him all up and down the line. Still
they declined his option and then re-signed him. So I'm not really sure exactly what they're doing there. You don't re-sign Andres Pete, but their cap situation is just kind of a disaster. We'll talk about that when we get to free agency. But this is not a good football team, and this is a football team that should probably be moving some of these pieces on their roster, and they shouldn't be continuing to pursue whatever they're going to try to pursue this season, because it's not going to get them anywhere. Let's talk about wide receiver 2. For a long time, it was Michael Thomas, wide receiver 1. Well, I guess not a long time. I mean, it's been a while since Michael Thomas has been on a football field. Chris Olave has clearly emerged as their wide receiver 1 with a strong rookie season and a pretty good second season. But I think there's major question marks about who is wide receiver 2. Who is the pass catcher 2? Is it Juwan Johnson? Is it Rashid Shaheed? Is it Cedric Wilson Jr. who they brought into free agency? Is it A.T. Perry who they brought into free agency? Or is this one of the teams that should be making a phone call to what's his name from the St. Louis Battlehawks? Man, his name is totally escaping me right now.
King Butler?
Yeah, Keem Butler. Maybe this is a landing spot where he should be playing next season. Like, what is the situation at wide receiver 2 for the New Orleans Saints? Who do you trust on that team outside of Chris Olave?
Rashid Shaheed has to show that, hey, as long I can run the whole route tree. I'm not just here for, deep balls. Right? If Rashid Shaheed's on the field, there's a good chance he's running the go route. He's running the deep post. It's either going to be short and quick to get the ball in his hands so he can get open space, or it's going to be long and deep so where he can take the cover off the defense and open it up for somebody else. You kind of want A.T. Perry to be that Michael Thomas replacement, because A.T. Perry's 6'5". Yeah. He's that chain mover that you want during, in between players. Like, hey, go get me a first down like that. Like, that's the guy that you want. Hey, big body, first and goal, second and goal, fade route. Hey, go up and get it. You 6'5", the other DB is not 6'5". I'm trusting you to go get that ball.
And you expect him to have a better season this year. I mean, he was a rookie last season. He played in 12 games. He had 12 catches on 18 targets with a 20 per catch average, which is pretty absurd. It was boosted a little bit by a 44-yard catch. They had 4 touchdowns as well. Like, this guy is a guy who's going to be a goal line threat. He's going to be one of those guys you could throw the football up to and just make a play. I think that they're banking on growth from within on Rashid Shaheed and from A.T. Perry, because if those guys don't develop and don't get better, this is not going to be a fantastic offense. It might not be anyways. Juwan Johnson is a decent tight end. I'll be interested to see what they do with Taysom Hill this season and what his role is. I guess gadget Swiss Army knife kind of player. Use them all over the field. That's probably the best bet for Taysom Hill.
It's a why change it? Like, it's been working for you so far. Don't change it.
Yeah. Moving on from there, let's talk about Dennis Allen. A lot of questions about Dennis Allen as the head coach of this football team for the last couple seasons. He's remained on the staff since Sean Payton retired right before the season. He hasn't really been all that successful as the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. I'm kind of surprised, being frank.
Not his fault. He got. Let's be honest. He got the job at the 12th hour.
Yeah, that's true.
But
it's been 2 seasons now.
Let's be fair to. In those 2 seasons, he's gone from quarterback by committee to Derek Carr to not having Michael Thomas at any point. The offensive line has been in shambles. We just talked about that. And, I think one of those seasons, Alvin Kamara was hurt for the majority of the season.
And he was suspended for 6 games last season.
So it's
or 4 games, whatever the number was. But
we gotta be fair here to Dennis Allen to an extent. Like, is this the final season? Yeah, if I'm Dennis Allen, I say, you tell me this is my final season. You know what I say? I say thank you.
It's been kind of a cluster there. I mean, Dennis Allen, he's a defensive-minded head guru, really. I mean, this defense has been fantastic under his tutelage, and the part of the area that he's an expert in has been outstanding, as he's been the head coach of this football team, and when he was the defensive coordinator.
But they can only do so much. Right?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this with the Carolina Panthers, the show we did earlier this week, maybe on Tuesday, I think it was. Like, your defense, if they're on the football field a ton, they're going to get tired. They're going to get burnt out. That's just the nature of the game.
Yeah.
But I do think that if things go the way we kind of expect things to go in New Orleans this season, I think Dennis Allen will be given his walking papers. and to not really all the fault of his own. I think he's been dealt a bad card because they've had unrealistic expectations for this team ever since Drew Brees retired.
And I'm still confused on like what those expectations were. Like don't get me wrong. Derek Carr is a nice quarterback. Like on his best day, he's not Drew Brees. Jameis Winston no,
not Drew Brees.
Like Jameis Winston on his best day is probably not even Derek Carr. Like let's be honest. Like if that was the case, Jameis would be starting somewhere. And yeah, we saw that. Like we saw that story. Then it didn't end well, right? And if you're New Orleans, like you said, move off some of these pieces. Like who? Like realistically, you got Michael Thomas, you got Alvin Kamara. What realistically?
Michael Thomas is not on this team anymore.
It doesn't like, but at the time it's like, oh, they got to move off Michael. They got to move off Michael Thomas. Realistically, what were you expecting to get?
I think I'm talking about this upcoming season. I think if you were to try to move Jamal Williams or Alvin Kamara, I think those two guys have value.
Realistically, what are you expecting to get?
I mean, you can probably get a third round pick for one of those two guys.
For who?
For both those guys, I think you can get a third round pick.
Move on.
I think Cameron Jordan can give you some value back in a trade. I think Demario Davis can give you some value back in a trade. I think Tyrann Mathieu, Marshawn Lattimore, those guys.
That like Marshawn Lattimore and Cam Jordan will probably fetch the highest value. I am not giving the third round pick up for Alvin Kamara, who I only like week by week I gotta keep my phone on because I'm not sure he's gonna like behave himself. Let's be real.
Moving on from there, let's talk about the draft. They only had 2 picks in the first 4 rounds. With those picks, I think they did a good job addressing major needs. Talise Fuaga, the kid out of Oregon State. Sorry, I said Washington earlier. I had him confused with the other kid. And then Cooley McKinstry, you get in the second round. That's kind of a steal. Everybody had him as quarterback 1 pre-draft process, pre-college football season. They take a flyer in the 5th round on Spencer Rattler. They take a flyer on a wide receiver in the 5th round. They took a flyer on a linebacker, defensive line, and then another tackle to round out their draft in the 7th round. Let's talk about the first 3 picks because I think the rest of them are really just kind of flyer guys that I don't really have a lot of information on. But Talise Fuaga, the kid from Oregon State, can play all over the offensive line. He did that in college. He should be a plug-and-play guy at anywhere on the offensive line that you quote-unquote need him.
Well, and it made sense with the entry to Ryan Ramczyk. It's like, hey, we're probably not going to have our all-pro caliber tackle this upcoming season, so we're going to have to do something about that. And what better way than to get one of the highest graded tackles in this past draft? Like let's be real.
Yeah.
So like hopefully like you have a foundation for when Ramczyk comes back, probably next year, and it's gonna be Fuaga, it's gonna be Ramczyk, and now you just have to figure out the rest of the pieces. Like I still think I think this is a make or break year for Cesar Ruiz. Like if he performs well enough, probably keep him, tag him, do something. I don't know, because you said they didn't pick up his his option.
Yeah, but I think his next season is he's a free agent next. Yeah, so they may tag him. I don't remember the last time an offensive guard got tagged, but maybe.
Probably Eric Flowers, but that's like whew.
Eric Flowers played tackle, I think.
Exactly.
But
doesn't matter. Like offensive lineman getting tagged is, to your point, not doesn't happen all that often. Rare. I can't remember if it was Kool-Aid or if it was Terrion Arnold who started at Alabama every day since they were a freshman, which is hard to do.
It's McKinstry. Yeah, he played every single game at Alabama since he was a freshman, and the Saints liked him enough to trade up to give up a 5th and a 6th round pick to move up from 45 to 41 to snag him. He should start alongside Marshawn Lattimore at some point this season, I would imagine, or a nickel or whatever.
Day one. He's a day one starter. Like Dennis Allen is going to find a way to get that young dude on the field. Like he's starting immediately.
He's got really good size. I mean, he's just a pro. He's a really good corner. Like, yeah, started as a true freshman. There's a lot of questions on his quote unquote ball skills because he didn't have a lot of interceptions in college. But nobody,
I don't care about that. Like, hey,
yeah.
the scout report on him is, hey, don't throw to his side.
Yeah. Like, I'll try to beat somebody else on this Alabama team. Like, they're all gonna go to the NFL. I'm gonna try somebody else. Like,
I'm not throwing to him. And obviously, I think the gem here is Spencer Rattler. This could potentially be QB of the future, right? We don't, and it's the perfect setting for him. We don't expect him to play. Like, very little, if ever. Like, the preseason should probably be the most time Spencer Rattler touches the field, being completely fair. And Spencer Rattler had a damn good year at South Carolina. It's not being talked about enough because, one, it's South Carolina. They're not what they used to be. And they didn't win a lot this past season either. But Spencer Rattler had to, I said it when we were talking about him, Spencer Rattler had to get humble.
Yeah.
It's hard to be humble when you the number one player in two sports in the state, and you got all these big time schools coming to see you. They ain't coming to see your teammates. They ain't coming to see the people you playing against. They might be, but you know for a fact they're coming to see you, Spencer Rattler, and you go to Oklahoma and it does not go your way.
His first season he was fantastic, and even when he never lost. Like, Lincoln Riley did him kind of dirty. Like, he hadn't lost a game, and yet he still was on the pine, getting replaced by Caleb Williams. I think Spencer Rattler is a steal. Like, I think getting him in the 5th round, I think he is QB of the future. I think there's nobody obvious on the roster right now. I think if he could learn from a real pro. Like, Derek Carr's a pro's pro. Like, he's dealt with difficult situations in his NFL career. This is a guy that can be like, hey, this is the way it's kind of done in the NFL. I love Spencer Rattler. I think he's a steal at the 5th round pick. I think there's going to be a lot of teams when it's all said and done are going to be kicking themselves because they didn't take Spencer Rattler. He's good. I think he's going to be a good pro. Like, he was really good at South Carolina both seasons, actually. That season, the one season where he went toe-to-toe with Notre Dame in that bowl game, and the guy was, like, making crazy plays. And with very little offensive line outside Xavier Legette, not a lot of talent on that South Carolina Gamecocks team. Just a tough break I think he goes to a good situation.
Yep.
But yeah, I think the rest of those picks are kind of flyer guys, probably free agent or special teamers. I don't know how much any of them are going to actually play. Moving on to free agency. First notable additions, obviously they got Chase Young from the San Francisco 49ers. They pried Willie Gay away from the Kansas City Chiefs. They signed Will Harris. They got Lucas Patrick from the Chicago Bears. They got Cedric Wilson from the Miami Dolphins. And their key departures, Michael Thomas. Say whatever you want about Michael Thomas. He's one of the most prolific wide receivers in Saints history. He broke a record that I thought would never be broken. Andres Pete, who was a starting guard for this football team, and Marcus May, who was their starting safety last year. And they kind of replaced them with like 3 nickels on the dollar for those guys.
To your point about Spencer Rattler, he went 15-2 as the starting quarterback for Oklahoma and got benched.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah. But to this here, Chase Young, we're still waiting on, like, forget a year, forget a breakout year. We're still waiting on like a quote unquote signature breakout game from Chase Young. Like, I can't.
Since he tore that ACL, he just hasn't been the same guy.
And like, you kind of like to this year, like the first year, you kind of understand because, like, again, you're rehabbing, you're not training. You rehabbing so you can train, so you can get back to the normal flow of things. Like any year after that, it should be like, hey, I'm back. This is what it is. But at the same time, it's like everybody's different. Like, I think it's unfair of what Adrian Peterson did coming off a torn ACL.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And
because
breaking the rushing record the next season.
Because every time a football player tears their ACL, the average Joe is like, well, Adrian Peterson did this, and it's like, well, that's Adrian Peterson. This person's not Adrian Peterson. Like we got to be fair. So Adrian Peterson kind of reset the bar of when it comes to bouncing back off an ACL injury.
Yeah. He made it real unfair for all these other athletes who are like, hey, I'm gonna need a whole season. But Cam Akers kind of did the same thing on the Achilles tear.
Cam Akers. I was just about to remember. Cam Akers comes back
6 months.
6 months.
It was ridiculous.
He comes back from an Achilles tear after 6 months. Now you're just like, that's not humanly possible. And next thing you know, we see Cam Akers trotting out on the football field, ready to go. So we're still waiting on that signature. Like I need a game with Chase Young where he has 3 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. He just raises hell. I need one of them games out of him, and he still ain't found a home. I thought leaving. I'm real surprised it didn't work out in Washington with all the guys they had up front. It could have he should have had a field day in Washington. They got Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, and Montez. It's you can't double team all of us. You got to pick one.
Yeah.
And then you get traded to an even better front.
And then you have very little impact. It was talks about you not even playing in the Super Bowl. It's not a good look. And Willie Gay Jr. is a pretty good linebacker, but he signed him to a 1-year deal. It's okay. I mean, I don't know what else to say. They did bring back Demario Davis. They did bring back Tyrann Mathieu. They also re-signed Ryan Ramczyk this offseason. Whatever that is. Jimmy Graham is also a free agent. Trey Turner, who played a lot of snaps for this football team, is also free agent. Zach Vaughn, who was a former first-round pick for this team, is also re-signed with the Philadelphia Eagles. They just lost a lot of talent, and this is kind of what this team has been since Drew Brees retired. They've been in cap purgatory. They've had to make tough decisions on certain players. They just decided they are not worth bringing back because they can't afford it, because this roster is – it's the balloon. The salary is just ballooned.
Yeah, and Lucas Patrick, he had some good moments here in Chicago, and he had some not so good moments here in Chicago. No one's ever gonna forget Lucas Patrick blocking his own dude. That's no. The guy you don't block the guy in blue. You block the guy across from you who's not wearing blue. And it was just, like I said, he had some good moments. He had some not good moments. This is what they're gonna do. This is what they are for the next, God knows how many. It's gonna be rough. If you're a Saints fan, thank God you got LSU up the block.
Buckle yourself in, because it's probably going to be a rough ride. Let's talk about their 2024 schedule. Let's talk about ceiling. Let's talk about that floor. And let's start, because we're a Positive Pete show, and let's talk about the ceiling. What do you think the New Orleans Saints ceiling is in terms of record?
They somehow, some way ride that Superdome crowd. Somehow, some way, by hook, by crook, they're going to get to 7 wins. I don't know how. It's just that's their ceiling. That's a pretty high ceiling. I'm having a lot of blind faith in what they got going on there. It's not going to be if they win 7 games, it'll be like how the Bears won 7 games. It is not going to be pretty. It is not going to be pretty. They're going to have games where they look like they can take on the whole world, like remember how the Bears just dismantled the Raiders?
The Raiders, yeah.
And then they gonna have
the Commander or the Commanders. We beat down the Commanders too on Thursday Night Football.
No, they dismantled the Raiders, and they're gonna have games like that.
I mean, this Saints team had a game where they put up the largest margin of victory in New England Patriots, Bill Belichick history. They had the largest margin of victory in Bill Belichick history. That's some history right there. Even though I think that record was broken the next season or the next day, the next week. I guess they're saving grace. I'll go with you the same. I think it's 7 and 9, however they get these games.
7 and 10.
I think. Yeah, 7 and 10. I think they benefit by the fact that some of their more difficult games, they are going to get those at home. Like they're going to get Philadelphia at home. They get the Cleveland Browns at home. They get the Rams at home. Like that.
No. Yeah.
I mean, those are difficult games. I mean, they don't have to go to Mile High. It's kind of a blessing, but you still get Kansas City on the road. You got to go to SoFi Stadium and take on the Chargers. Whatever you say, whatever you think about that home field advantage for the Chargers,
you go to Dallas.
You got to go to Dallas in week 2. I think that their ceiling is 7 wins. I think their floor is something like 4 or 5 wins. Like I could see this being an absolute dumpster fire of a season when it comes to the New Orleans Saints. Nothing clicks.
Okay, when we did the Panthers preview, I think I had them splitting with the Saints. Did I not? Did I not have that happen? I had that happen, I think. Okay, so like I gotta be fair. Like they probably split with the Saints. I mean, they split with the Panthers. Ass whooping. I don't care. Hey, I know Philly's at home. I know that crowd is gonna gear up for them, but it's almost Philly's at the point where it's like, man, we just gotta ride. Hey, we either gonna hit y'all in the mouth early to take y'all out, or we just gotta ride that initial wave, like that first 6 minutes. We just gotta ride that wave and then shut y'all up. So, like, they very well could start the season 1-2. They go into
I'm looking at that. Like, they could start the season legitimately like 1-5.
1-5. Like, I didn't listen to that. Like, did you have them losing to Atlanta? I got them. I got them losing both. Yeah. I got them losing both games
to Atlanta. I got them losing both games to Tampa Bay. I think that they beat the Denver Broncos at home. I think because I don't know what the Denver is going to be. We'll talk about that when we get to their season preview. And I think they lose to the Chargers. They lose to the Carolina Panthers in whatever that stadium's called now.
Yeah.
I think they lose to Cleveland. I think they lose to the Rams. I think they beat the Giants. I think they beat the Commanders. And I think they lose the last 3 games of the season. That's 5 wins.
I don't think they beat Washington. Like, just Jaden Daniels coming back to the crib. Like, yeah. Jaden Daniels gonna put on the show. Like he might like that. He might light their ass up, man. Hey.
I think this the heyday of New Orleans Saints football is like well past whatever they think like the franchise behind right now. They need to they legitimately need to strip this down to its spokes and start over. Like they should if they can, like I don't know, like Derek Carr doesn't seem to have a market really, so I don't know what you can get for him. But if like you can trade Derek Carr, if you can trade away like all of your valuable pieces and acquire future draft capital and roll with Spencer Rattler, just throw him out there. The hell with it. What does it matter at this point? This is a team that needs a complete overhaul. Like this is what like the franchise changing player is probably not on this roster right now.
No, and I gotta look into the like you already got like way too early mock drafts for next season. Like that's
you got way too early mock drafts for the NBA draft. It was literally like 3 weeks ago.
You had I think this guy I follow on Twitter, he did a way too early mock draft for the NBA. I mean for the NFL the day after the draft ended.
Actually, a lot of YouTubers do that actually, because it generates them stupid like just content. So like they can like go back after the draft and they can like look at their initial mock draft and like see how close it was, and it's usually pretty ridiculous. But
like you're looking at the schedule, and if you're a Saints fan, you're just like, why do the football gods hate us? What did we do to get the NFC East and the AFC West and the Cleveland Browns?
Well, that's what happens when you finish third in your division. So
and the Cleveland Browns in the same year.
You get the Cowboys. It's not a good draw here. You get the Rams too, the Green Bay Packers.
To your point, like I don't like the reason they're in this situation. Like they try to ride the Drew Brees wave as long as they could, and I respect it. But when it got to a point, like when you saw Drew Brees get to a point where he couldn't throw the ball past 10 yards, that's when you should have been like, all right, hey, Drew, thank you. Your numbers going up, retiring that. You probably don't get a statue outside the Superdome. It's been great. You are beloved here. You and your family will eat free for perpetuity, bro. Like, yeah. like Michael Thomas unfairly got called Mr. Slant because all he ran was slant passes, not knowing that hey, that's all Drew Brees
could throw at the time.
Can throw right now.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, it's been a tough break for the New Orleans Saints, and they didn't put a succession plan together. Like there was never a plan
and that's
post
the
Drew
issue.
Brees.
And that's the kill. Like, and we saw that up in Pittsburgh, right? There was never really a true succession plan. That's why Pittsburgh was bouncing back between Big Ben for 2 weeks, and then Duck Hodges to get some snaps, and then whoever else would get some snaps. Mason Rudolph, and so on and so forth. So like now it's like if you're New Orleans, like that's why Drew Brees' last year. That hey, we gotta throw the ball 30 yards or more. Hey, Jameis.
But we'll see what ends up happening with the New Orleans Saints. I think this is probably going to be a rebuilding season for the Saints. I apologize.
It should be. It should. It really should be. And I think that's the part where we see certain teams struggle. Like teams that know good and damn well. Like, hey man, we should probably hit that reset button, but you want to hang on to past glory for whatever fucking reason. Like, hey, it's okay to be like, hey man, it's time to blow this shit up. It's time to hit the reset button. Hey, we think nuke it, press the button. But
they probably should have done that a few seasons ago.
But like the problem is like New Orleans is such a football dominant city.
Yeah.
Can you like think about it? When was the last time you saw the Saints bad? Really think about it.
I can't really remember like time. Even when they had like Aaron Brooks as their quarterback, they were like competitive at least.
Competitive. So it's like man,
really? I'll date myself with that Aaron Brooks reference. I'm not even sure what year that even was. What year? What year did Aaron not? Oh man, I got an NFL Aaron Brooks, not Aaron Brooks, the basketball player.
It's a very common name. It happens.
You think they're related?
No.
Or Aaron Brooks hasn't played on the team since 2005. Woo.
And then was it him? Then you went right into Drew Brees.
Yeah, I think so.
And then so you go from Aaron Brooks to Drew Brees, and it's just nothing but pound out success. A Super Bowl win included in that, playoff runs included in that. And it's just like now it's almost like if you're a Saints fan, you're spoiled. Like you don't know what to do with you don't know what to do with what's coming down the lane.
So last time the Saints won less than 7 games. If you had to guess the year that happened, man, this is pretty wild actually. So yeah, okay. So if you had to guess the year, they won less than 7 games.
I'm assuming it's probably Drew Brees' first year.
No, it's not actually. They lost in the conference finals his first season to the Chicago Bears actually in 2006. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Oh, was it before Drew Brees' first year?
So in 2005 they went 3-13, and Aaron Brooks was their leading passer. Okay. I'm not sure who the running back was. It just says Smith, and Dante Stallworth. I think that is Dante Stallworth was the leading receiver. They went 3-13 that season in 2005. The 5 seasons before that, they went 8-8. 8-8, 9-7, 7-9, 10-6, and then in 1999 they went 3-13. So they've had basically 2 seasons where they've won less than 7 games in the last 25 years.
That's crazy.
Like this is actually the last season that Mike Ditka was the head coach when they went 3-13, and Ricky Williams was the lead rusher.
That's one of those infamous draft day trades. Like you gave up the farm for Ricky Williams, and
so yeah, the Saints have been mostly pretty competitive for the majority of their history. So it's been like the last 25 years they've been in the hunt for a playoff spot. But yeah, I don't think think about like once again, I just turned 30 back in March, right? So all those early years when they were the Aints and paying paper bags, like I don't remember that. Like that's not my memory bank. You feel me? Yeah.
Like, that's not me. Like the Saints I know, I don't even know the Saints that you're talking about with Aaron Brooks and them. Like I'm still too. That's before. Like the Saints I know is Drew Brees first get there, rookie Reggie Bush, because like hey, USC had the whole nation in the chokehold because everybody was rooting for Reggie Bush and he running, he flipping in the end zone because Reggie Bush was that man. Reggie Bush was special. And yeah, so from like that, basically like my Saints history, and it's kind of ignorant on me. My Saints history starts in 2005 up until now. So all I know, and I'm a perfect example of this. Like all I know is the Saints as a. Hey, I know for a fact when it come December, January, I know for a fact the Saints gonna be in the mix.
Yep. I don't think that'll necessarily be the case this season, but we'll see how things end up playing out. Thank you very much for joining us here at Prime Sports World. This is actually my last show before I go on vacation, TJ. So I'm very much looking forward to that. I'm going on a road trip.
And you want to know something? You earned it. And you want to know what else? I don't want to hear nothing from you the whole week you're gone. I don't want to see a message from David the entire week he's gone.
Oh, okay. I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, but I've been David Huffman. This is my co-host, Mr. TJ Hopkins. Thank you very much for joining us here at Prime Sports World. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. And TJ, what do we do here at the Prime, my friend?
We bring the heat concern. Franz Wagner got the bag.
Yeah, dude, 221 million, man. Wow. Whew. You guys all have a good night and stay safe out there. We'll see you guys. I'll see you guys in like 10 days. So take it easy.
A week.
Yeah.
See you.
Peace out, guys.